When running a business or agency, nothing is more valuable than your time. Whether you're managing your leads or marketing your services, optimizing your time is vital. That's where automation can be a lifesaver. Welcome to Breakdown, where we break down the things that help you build. My name's Dustin, and today we're breaking down automation. You can think of automation as using a tool, such as an application like Zapier, to do things for you. For this episode of Breakdown, I spoke to Jimmy Rose, the owner of Content Snare and an expert in using automation with Gravity Forms to help you save time and money when running your business. Let's get into it. You want to get started by just kind of giving an overview on what automation is?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to describe it is there's two parts, right? So when this happens is like the start of an automation. So when this happens, do this. So the terminology for this in automation is trigger and action. I think the easiest way to describe it in just like plain English is when this happens, do this. So that might be like when someone fills out a form, add them to my CRM. So that's a really basic automation that pretty much anyone can understand, I think. So that's really, really basic level of what automation is. And so having a computer or a SaaS product do that for you in the background without you having to do it. I know plenty of people, like they get the email from their contact form, which is like such and such just submitted this form, and they copy out the email address and like put it into another system and they copy out the name. That's where automation comes in and can help you move data between systems. Like there are plenty of other use cases. That's just like a nice one to start. And it can get a lot more complex than this as well. So it doesn't have to be just like contact forms. Like you can have conditions. So this is like taking it to the next level. You can have like conditions to say like only do this automation if these conditions are true, like if they selected web design, and you could do multiple things in one automation.
If you've never used automation software before, but you've used Gravity Forms, it's a similar setup process to using conditional logic.
It's almost simpler to set up an automation. I guess I really want to stress this is like a lot of people think automation is just like this crazy concept and it's like something that other people do because it's too hard for them. But honestly, like once you start digging in, it's actually pretty simple. Like, yeah, you can have this conditional stuff, but you can build that in later. You can just do contact form to CRM as the first one. And then later you can put like a conditional in there to say like only continue this workflow if these conditions are true, And I think that's just something I'd like to highlight because it's crazy how many people don't get involved because they think it's just like this too hard concept.
If you're an agency or a business owner, at what stage as you're growing your business would you suggest to start looking and thinking about automation?
That's a really good question because part of me thinks like early on before it becomes a problem. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you've probably got more important stuff to be working on in the early days of your business. It really depends on what your business is, right? I think for the most part, it's a smarter decision or smarter like way to grow a business to work on the most important stuff, like getting clients and delivering the work in the beginning, right? And only once it becomes a problem should you automate. However, it is a bit of a balancing act because if you get to the point where you're so busy that you don't have any time, like where are you going to learn how to automate stuff? I was lucky that I had a background in industrial automation, so like making machinery work. That's obviously a different thing completely, but the logic, I guess the way you mind things is the same. So I got to a point where in my agency where I just definitely did not want to run this agency anymore. It was just like constant, nonstop. I think every agency owner has been through this period where they're just like, I can't do anymore and like, I just want to stop. That's where automation really helped me. Setting up automations and also just other products, like even Gravity Forms features pretty heavily in my automations. But it took a lot of time to set those automations up in the beginning. And that was on top of me being already crazy busy. So I feel like if you feel like things are going towards being too busy, and that's when you should probably start looking at it, not once you're like at that breaking point.
Where would you recommend starting? What would be like the first things you'd recommend automating?
Okay, so probably what I was talking about before, like contact form to CRM. And obviously there are a lot of built-in integrations for this as well. Like, Gravity Forms, you can plug in ActiveCampaign and a whole bunch of other CRMs and automatically add them. And that's fine. Like to me, that's a perfectly fine place to start.
Is there anything you'd recommend just from your experience not automating?
That's a really good question. There's definitely a tendency to over-automate just in general, to be honest. Like a lot of it comes down to people. People can see through automated emails a lot. They know when they're not going to reply to an automated email or whatever. So there is definitely that layer of like, you don't want to over-automate your interactions with humans, because you can say when a new client comes on, like send them this email automatically and then send them this one. But to an extent, I think there's just good business to actually build relationship with people and send personal email, especially especially to the right people. So what I do a lot is I've kind of started calling it automation assisted personalization, where it's like there's tools out there like Bonjoro is like a video recording tool on your phone that you can push like a notification to it from a tool like Zapier or whatever. It'll pop up a notification on your phone and say, hey, such and such just signed up. And then you can click that and you can record a 30-second video of you talking to the camera and like welcoming that person with whatever details it showed up there. So you can look at their website, you could call out something on their website. So it's actually a real personal video, and then you just hit done. And it will then go and send them the email with the video and follow up if they don't open it. So you've done something personal, but you've surrounded it with automation. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think that's a long way of saying, I guess it's like the human interaction. You don't want to automate too much, but you can still assist with automation. I think everyone's got like a contact form on their site, and especially if they're using Gravity Forms for that, then it's just a matter of like automatically moving that person to where they need to go. I would just suggest people get in there and start having a go. Just choose something that's simple. Like again, form submission to a CRM. Try and push that data into another system. It still feels cool. Like 7-8 years later, I've been doing this, like just to see the data flowing automatically and not having to do that thing ever again. Actually, here's something I would like to cover, because a lot of people don't dive into automation because they're like, this thing takes me like 5 minutes. Why would I automate it? There's no point because it takes me 5 minutes. But like if you are taking 5 minutes a lot, right? Like that adds up. So a classic example I like to talk about is like, let's say you've got an automation that's going to save you 5 minutes a week and it takes you an hour to set up. It's like, well, why would I do that? It's like a whole hour. Just by the way, it won't always take you an hour. Once you get good at this, it'll take you 10 minutes to set up an automation. But let's say the first one you got to learn, take you an hour, maybe 2. 12 weeks later, you've paid back that 60 minutes, right? And after that, you've got a free 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes, who cares? It's not much. But when you do this enough times, if you've got enough automations running, like my account saves me over 120 hours a month of time that these things are running automatically.
It might take you 5 minutes now, but you got to think about as your business scales, how long is that going to take you as you grow?
I'm automating some things that take me 5 minutes and over time it's all paid off and I have a lot more time because of it, like a lot. 120 hours a month, that's almost an entire human. Yeah. Worth of time, like a 40-hour work week, that's 160 hours a month. So, and I know people that have like tossed up between hiring someone or diving into automation and managed to reduce their workload so much with automation that they didn't actually need to hire someone right away, which can be really good in the early days. If you're freelancing and it's your first hire, that's a hard one. The first one's really hard because it's like a big expense. But, if you can kind of delay that a little bit with automation, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great chat.
Hopefully some people have taken some things away.
Yeah. Thank you so much to Jimmy for taking the time to speak with me. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe to the channel and tune in next week for an in-depth chat with Jimmy on using Zapier to help automate your processes and workflows. And if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, be sure to let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.